Okay, so the question today is, why was the Torah not given to Avraham Avinu and instead given at Mount Sinai? That's the question. Any answers from the audience on this very central question? The answer to this question is going to be so important that everything we believe is based on the one lesson we're about to do today. This is not a small thing. Okay? Everything you need to know is going to be based on the answer to this one question. What is the reason that one person could not receive the Torah, instead it be given to lots and lots of people? Okay, yeah.
I don't know if this is right, but maybe because not everyone wanted to accept it.
Not everyone accepts it. So we can't say that because at Mount Sinai, they all did. We're going to see Ke'ish Echad B'lev Echad. They all accepted the Torah with one heart. So that's not really today's topic, because we're trying to figure out what happened, not what they said. So they did want to accept it. Avram would have accepted it. He wouldn't have said no. It's Avram Avinu.
Were all Jewish? Were all Jewish?
Well, Hashem could have made Avram Jewish at that point. I'm playing devil's advocate or angel's advocate. Okay? No, this is good. I want people to think about this. Again, the answer to this question is going to separate Judaism out from every other religion. That's a big statement.
Okay.
By the way, how many religions have there been in history? They say about 22,000 religions, sects, and cults have existed since the beginning of time. It's a lot. And Judaism is on one side, and all the other religions on the other, in one very concrete, real way. And we're going to discuss that today. Ms. Shevitz.
Isn't it because we're a nation, not one person seen as more than
Okay, that is true. We are we are a nation, but so what? So you know what? That is true. We are a nation. We're not a race. We're a nation. We're an right? If it was just a race, then you couldn't join the Jewish people. You can join the Jewish people. You're going to join a nation. But why exactly couldn't have Avraham Avinu receive the Torah, and then 1,000 years later, all his descendants become the nation of Yisrael? What is going on? They could have started with him. Why did it not start with him? Oh, by the way, forget about him. Why didn't it start with anyone? Why didn't it start with Yitzchak, with Yaakov, with any of the 12 tribes? There have been a lot of great people through history. Yeah.
Maybe because there were so many people there, like they all acted as witnesses that they actually received the Torah.
Did you hear that somewhere, or you just thought of it? Okay. She basically gave a very important answer. Let me explain her answer and expand on it, okay? Here's the question, and here's the answer. Question is, why was the Torah not given, forget Avram, to one individual? Like every other religion. Islam, Christianity pretty much, Hinduism, although Hinduism is one thing, they all have one claim. They all claim, every religion throughout history, claim that one person heard God talk. That's the claim. That's the claim. Every religion. There's no exception. Whether it came through an angel or something else, but they all claim the divinity. This is the claim. Whether it happened or not is irrelevant. They claim that our religion started because Muhammad was at a mountain and he heard the angel Gabriel speak to him, or Guru Nanak, or Scientology stuff. Every religion always begins with the idea that a certain amount of information was given to one person, sometimes maybe two people, if you're lucky. Two people heard it. Judaism doesn't say that. The claim of Judaism is that there were, we're not sure precisely how many, but anywhere from 2 to 3 million people, right? Well, we know 600,000 at least for sure heard God at Mount Sinai. Why is that such a big claim? Think about it for a second. Why is this idea of many people, and this is mentioned in the Torah, we'll see in the sources, but I want to just think about it. Why is that such a big claim? Why couldn't any religion claim that and say, yeah, God spoke to millions of people? Let's say, for example, let's just flesh this out. Let's just think about this. Let's say I told you last night, I was in Madison Square Gardens. Yeah? And I was watching the game, and suddenly a big hand came out of the roof and pointed at me and said, Rabbi Hadjioff, you are the chosen one. This is God speaking. And I told you that's what happened last night. Did that happen or did that not happen?
No.
Did not happen. How do you know for sure it did not? You were not there. How do you know? Seriously, how do you know it didn't happen?
You don't have any evidence to back up your
What evidence would I need to prove that last night that happened?
multiple people.
Multiple people. That's the only thing you'd need. It would have been in the newspaper, New York Post, New York Times, right? Hadjioff, he's been the chosen one. We know it didn't happen because there were not multiple people. Let's say I told you, though, that I was alone last night in bed and I heard a big voice coming out of the heavens, out of the air, and the heavens said, Hadjioff, you're the chosen one. And my wife slept through it because she sleeps through everything. How about that? Did that happen?
You were dreaming.
Did it happen?
Probably not.
You can't say that. Did it happen? The answer is, we don't know. Because there's no one else there to claim to have seen it or not seen it. It's all up in the air. You see the difference? Once you have multiple witnesses, just the claim, forget whether it happened or not, just the claim of multiple witnesses makes a massive, massive difference. If I claimed I experienced something alone, you can't say it never happened. You can say we don't know. But if I claim something happened in front of many, 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 many people, that you can do. If I told you 100 years ago there were gold trees that came out of the ground all over New York, did that happen? No. You know for sure, because it would have been written about in newspapers, eyewitnesses, everyone has spoken about it. But if I told you my grandmother 100 years ago, by herself, a gold tree came up, and then one day it disappeared, did that happen?
You don't know.
You can say, I don't know. Maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. We have no concrete evidence. It's all about evidence. This, by the way, is a very famous Jewish idea as to the divinity of the Torah, because there is a claim the Torah makes. And by the way, no other religion even makes this claim. Why not? Why can the Pope stand up on the balcony right now in Rome and say, oh, by the way, I've got to tell you, we know Jesus is God because everyone, millions of people, heard God tell us that he is. Why couldn't he just say that? Because we would turn around and be like, we would have heard about it. You can't just come up with a claim about many, many people witnessing something. It would take a massive cover-up or a massive keeping down of information in order to get that information out or keep it in. It's all about witnesses. That's what it comes down to. Are we together so far?
Yes.
Imagine you have a king. 1 second, Sarah. And imagine you have a king, and the king dies, and he leaves two sons. And one son is fighting with the other son who's going to become the next king. Because the king didn't nominate one of them. And they get into a big fight, and they're arguing, you know, like politicians, fighting and arguing. And then one of them comes forward and says, you know what? Come tonight to the town square. I'm going to tell you why I'm the chosen one. So that night, they all go to the town square, and he stands up and says, why? I'll tell you why. Last night, my father came to me in a dream. And in this dream, he said, you are the chosen one. What would everyone say? That's stupid, right? I mean, maybe his father did come. But if his father's going to come to anyone in a dream, he wouldn't come to him. He would come to everybody else. Everyone else would have to hear that he's the chosen one. Because one person making a claim, maybe it is true, maybe it isn't. Maybe Muhammad did have the conversation, maybe he didn't, maybe Jesus did, maybe Jesus didn't. We can speculate all you want. And religions of millions or billions of people have stood on the word of one person. See, had the Torah been given to Avraham Avinu, the Rambam says there'd be a problem. What's the problem? The problem is, everyone would turn around and be like, maybe he made it up. Maybe him being given the Torah by God directly, and us having to follow what one person heard thousands of years ago, would be like, I don't know, maybe he was drunk, maybe having a good night out, maybe it was wishful thinking. Maybe. It would take away from the truth. And what is truth based upon? In a real practical way. Forget mysticism and everything else we can discuss this semester. What actually happened? What is the claim? The claim is that millions of people heard God speak. That's the claim. Whether it's true or not, just leave that aside. It did happen, but that's not the point. The point is the claim itself. Let's say I wanted to start a religion, which, by the way, I'd love to do one day. I'll be speaking about it for a time. The Haji Baba religion. You want to make a lot of money? Start a religion. I'm going to call it the Haji Baba. What do you think? I'll wear a white thing, a big turban. You can become my first followers. Sound good? No. Oh, come on. If you want to make a lot of money, you want to start a religion. And I'm going to make that claim that God spoke to me. That's the way to get things going. Make a claim. But what I could not do was I could not turn around. Listen very carefully. This is important. I could not turn around to you or to anyone and say, oh, you know I'm the chosen one of this new religion because your grandparents knew it too. They heard God speak and say it. You'd be like, what are you crazy? I would have heard about it. You can't just come up out of nowhere and make a new religion based upon a lot of people hearing and witnessing something. So there's two things happening here. Watch carefully. And then we're going to do something unusual. There's quality and there's quantity. Quantity is the amount of people that we claim saw it. That's a big thing. Because if I wanted to start a religion, right, I'll be like, yeah, millions of people saw it. Everyone saw it last night. But it's also quality. It's not like 50 people saw it, but people you don't know. It's from your family, your ancestors. I would have heard had it happened to my ancestors. Could you close the door, please? I would have heard had it happened to my ancestors. You can't turn around and be like, oh, yeah, your ancestors were not involved, and that's why you didn't hear about it. It couldn't work that way. Do you understand the difference? It's quantity, the amount of people, but quality, everyone was there. That means every Jew in the future who's ever going to live, your great-great-great-great-grandparents were there. I can't say, well, only my family were there, that's why you didn't hear about it. It's only my family. You didn't hear about it because your family weren't there. And that's why your family's not part of this story. You understand what I'm saying? That kind of removes that. This is an idea by a rabbi called the Kusari. The Kusari was a book written a couple hundred years ago. And in this book, it's a fictional conversation between the king of Khazar and a rabbi and a priest and a imam and a philosopher. And he gets into arguments, and he says, whoever wins the argument, I am going to become to their religion. This supposedly happened, and then a book was written by Yehuda Halevi a few hundred years later. So he made up the conversation. The book is not the conversation because we don't know what happened. But there are people today, by the way, who say that they are. By the way, if someone says to you, many times you'll see online, they say, oh, this isn't a real rabbi, he's just a Kusari. You'll see that. It's actually an insult. They're saying, you're just like a convert from these original converts. You're just part of these people that disconnects you from the land of Israel and the original Jewish people from Israel. That's why they'll many times insult Jews and say, these are just Kusaris. They're wrong. We have a straight lineage all the way back to Har Sinai and to Avraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, as a side point. So here's the question. Everyone focus. Sorry, I'll make you think today. If this is true, and it is, but if it's true, how are we going to pass this information from generation to generation? How are we going to pass this information from one generation to the next generation? You could write it down, but a lot of things have been written down which we know aren't true. There's many people out there who say, yeah, God spoke to me, right? Here is the Quran, here's the New Testament. There's many people who make lots of comments, right? They were written down by people, but we don't know whether they're from God or not. So what are we going to do to have this information go from generation to generation? Do you understand the question? I'm going to say it again. I'm thinking I'm not with you most of you today. You're all like checked out a little bit. So let me bring you back. We're saying the Torah was not given to one person, because if one person received it, everyone could turn around and say, how do I know it really happened? Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. So I don't care. Okay? It's not true. We make a claim that no one else claims. And if you want to start a religion, you want to start with a better claim or a lesser claim. You want a better claim. Isn't it better to say that I'm the true one because God spoke to millions of people and the Torah was given to all of us as opposed to one person? So why doesn't anyone do it? Because you cannot make that claim because it never happened. The claim itself is so big that no one in history has ever claimed. Actually, the Torah says, Moshe Rabbeinu says that if any religion even makes such a claim, then our claim becomes nothing. But no one's even made it. There's never been a religion that ever said that God spoke to millions of people. Because it'd be like, you're ridiculous. You can start a cult, yeah, God spoke to me and I had dreams and I had visions and all the rest of it. That's fine. Go right ahead, gay gesund, right? Be healthy, yalla, go. You want to start a religion, go right ahead. Don't come to me but tell me that my family heard God speak to you in your family. That's ridiculous. Unless it actually happened. Okay, let me ask another question. And we're going to do a little exercise in modern history. This is an analogy. So don't get upset. We're going to think this out. And it's more relevant today than it's been in decades. Here's the question I want to analyze for just a few minutes with you. And we're going to use this as a metaphor, as a mashal, but it's going to be a lot more than that. Okay? I used to do this much stronger, but people get upset. So I'm going to do it nice and calmly, okay? And I'm going to play devil's advocate. What? You'll see. How do you know the Holocaust happened?
Actually, somebody literally hailed Hitler at me like the other weekend and said that it was fake.
Wow.
In Maryland. Yeah.
Wow. In Maryland, you got Hail Hitler. There's a swastika that was drawn outside Columbia University yesterday.
There's a guy that stands outside of our building and has a swastika on his chest. Like, he was like, did you see that?
A security guard?
No,
Oh, I hope-
this random homeless guy.
There's many people in prisons around America have swastikas on their chest. My friend is a doctor. He had to operate on someone. He's a doctor operating on someone with a swastika on his chest.
That's a Grease Anatomy.
Yeah, I was gonna say
It's a real thing. It's a true story.
And they stitched him up so that it was skewed.
No, he couldn't do that. But he actually, no, it wasn't on his chest. He had it on his body. It wasn't on his chest. It was on his body somewhere, and he had to operate on it. What are you going to do? Say no? Can't do that. He's got medical...
You messed it up a little.
How do you know the Holocaust happened? What is the proof that this occurred? By the way, you know there's millions of people.
The history.
Millions of people who claim the Holocaust did not happen, or didn't happen to the scale that we know it did. So what would you say to someone who said, but there's heads of states who say it didn't happen. Like the heads of Iran today. Ayatollah, it's just a fake thing they created to get world sympathy so they could start a Zionist state. And nonsense like this. Right? The people say this, like heads of states say this. Head of Malaysia. How do we know the Holocaust happened? Let's just go down this road and then bring it back to our topic, and it's going to make sense. But I need you to stick with me. Yeah. Testimonies. Okay. So I'm going to play devil's advocate for just a minute. You're right, we have testimonies. Do we have testimonies that can prove that 6 million people were taken and either shot or killed or gassed to death and burned and buried alive and buried dead? Do we have testimonies of 6 million? No. We don't have testimonies. I was just in Anne Frank's house last week. You know what I'm saying? Anne Frank, Amsterdam. And there's a story, there's testimonies. Her father survived. He took the diary and he published it. But in the end, do we really have a testimony of so much information? It's difficult, right? So testimonies are good, but you can argue against testimonies that many people survived. But you're right. I'm just being.
But you have evidence that back up the testimonies.
What evidence do you have? I'm asking you what that evidence is. Don't you tell me evidence. What is it? What is it?
The Nazis did documentation.
Okay, so we have documents, but I would say to you, you know what? They were forged after they do have, but obviously this is all true. We have testimonies. I'm just playing devil's advocate, and I would say, well, we have documents, but documents can be forged, right? And they weren't. But they could be in order to get Jewish sympathy so that we could get money and, I don't know, do whatever they say we're doing, control the world and the media. I wish we did control the media. I'd have a lot to say on it. Unfortunately, most of the media is against us in the world today. I don't know why I think we control the media. If we control the media, we're doing a really bad job of it. That's for sure, yeah. Camps. I've been to Auschwitz. I've been to Majdanek. I've been to Tereza. I've been to a number of camps. Yeah, but these were just holding camps. And people died in them, but because they had dysentery and other diseases, but to say they were taken there deliberately, they were holding camps. Nazis weren't good people, but to say they killed and made a killing machine of 6 million people. So yeah, there were people, maybe 200,000 people in the camps, you know? Go on.
How do you know it didn't happen?
Yes, my question.
No, you're saying how.
How do we know the Holocaust did happen? And you're saying testimonies, documents, camps. I'm saying these are all true, but people contest them. I mean, there's a problem over here. The problem is that 75 years later, people are still doubting that it occurred. It did occur. I'm very clear with you. I'm not. Yeah. First-hand accounts. Very good. There are people who were interviewed, right, who were actually there. Well, that's actually connected to testimonies, to be fair. But you're right, we have lots of first-hand accounts. But all those accounts, even if 1,000, 2,000, how many did Steven Spielberg in his Shaw Foundation? 10,000, 20,000? Is that enough to say that 6 million people, what did they see? You know, witnesses are sometimes probed and asked questions, and they are investigated. It's hard to say that what they saw was real either. Did they all see it? Maybe they're making up. It's tricky, right? Yeah.
If you go to Prague, yesterday in my Holocaust class, we had a speaker come in, and she deals with a lot of artifacts. Prague, they have like all the Torahs that were
Yeah.
burned.
Prague was going to be the museum of the dead Jewish people. I've been to Prague as well many, many times. Beautiful city. There are many, many things in Prague because they basically collected all the Jewish stuff because they wanted to make the Nazis wanted to make a museum of the now dead Jewish people. That is true. But even that, is that clear that 6 million people were killed and many of them gassed and burned? I'm sorry to make it so graphic, but this is reality, yeah.
We also have the other side, like we have Nazis who say what they've done.
Okay.
Have both
Many
sides.
Nazis did come forward and admit, and many did not.
Yeah.
That is true. Many denied it, said they were just following orders. How about movies, films? There's no footage you've seen? There is. There is. But then again, maybe the footage, right, the movies we have, were just made on set somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Come on, we're not like these people on Hollywood.
Yeah. They're very good propaganda, yeah. They claim that about us. They're actually doing it, though. That's the irony. You actually see them painting up little kids in blood in order to, it's sick. It's sick.
Did you see the video, the post about that person that that was seen in many different videos? They saw him once as a doctor, once as a mother, once as this, once as that.
I don't think it's a mother, but I definitely saw a...
Whatever it was.
And
They
then
dressed
dead
this
yesterday.
person up.
It's called propaganda. We are the greatest victims of it. Our hasbara is terrible. Our hasbara is really, really bad. Okay, I have an idea. Okay, because this is good, but it's not perfect. Let's say I did something very unusual. I started a organization, a society, and I'm going to call it the Holocaust Memorial Society. HMS. Okay, so let's get rid of this. Let's start the Holocaust Memorial Society. In order to be in this society, one second, let me just go through this. One second. Let's just try this. Let's try a thought experiment. Okay? Holocaust Memorial Society.
What's it called?
Holocaust Memorial Society. I made up a name. But how do you get into society? Like this. You're only a member if you or your children were in the Holocaust. Okay? And if you're a member of this society, you are going to have to wear a yellow star. All the time. I know it's difficult and annoying. But if someone comes up to you and says, why are you wearing that? Well, my grandfather was in Auschwitz. My grandmother was in the Warsaw Ghetto, and this is what they wore. So in order to be in the society, you're going to wear a yellow star all the time. Let's go. What else? It's a remembrance. You know what we're going to do? If you're in the HMS, once a year, you are going to get together with other members and you can if you want to, get together with other members and make a meal to remember the bad food you ate in the camps. It's going to be a potato peel, and you're going to dip it into salt water to remember. They're like, what are you doing? Well, once a year we get together and we eat this meal, and it's like hard bread. You know what I'm saying? Just like they had in the camps. It's hard bread, and it's like difficult to eat food. One second. Let's just finish this off. One second. We're building up something over here. Just stick with me. There's a method to my madness. It's hard bread and difficult to eat food. And, after the war, many people didn't have homes. So let's get together once a year, and we're going to live in a hut. Live in a hut. People are like, why are you living in a hut? It's cold outside. Because I know, but see, my great-great-grandmother, she got redeemed from Auschwitz, and then she had to live outside, and she went to DP camp, displaced person. It was so difficult. So in order to remember what she went through, right, every generation has done exactly the same thing. We wear the star. And you know what? How about this? How about we get 20,000 people to write their testimony, and we'll put into one book, a scroll. And then once a week, everyone's got to get together and read from this scroll. Every generation, from Auschwitz, from Bergen-Belsen, from Majdanek, and every year, New Belsen, boop, boop, all the way down. How about that one? How amazing would that be?
Oh, wait, we do that.
How about we take the numbers, they used to put numbers on the arms of people in Auschwitz, and everyone's in the HMS has to write down the number of their ancestor who went through the Holocaust and have it tattooed on their arm. Right? Sounds weird, right? But let's just say we were to do that, and we'll tattoo the numbers on our arms. Why would we do that? So we become the living proof of what happened to them. Let's say one of your friends says, oh, I love this HMS. I love this meal thing and the weekly reading thing and the yearly hut thing. Can I become a member of your club? What would you say?
No.
Well, I wouldn't say no, but why would you? I mean, you're fine. You didn't go through this. Your family, our family went through this. You don't need this. You're fine as you are. You're okay. Why would you go through this? And I mean, if you want to, you can. But you go to the tattoo, you go with the yellow star, you go once a year together, eat the bread, right? And the potato peel and the salt, and you've got to live in a hut once a year for a week. I mean, there's a lot there. And every week, you got to get together, have a meal, and remember what happened, and talk about it. It becomes a major part of your life. Why would you want to do that? Oh, it's cutesy, you like it, you want to become part? Okay, you can. No problem. You want to become part of this? You can. But you got to do it completely. You can't just do it a bit here, a little bit there. It's either all in or all out. You don't need to. You're fine as you are. But if you want to, this is what you got to do.
They can.
100% they can.
They don't have an ancestor we can tattoo.
So what? They become part of this organization, and they put on a tattoo as though they were there. They become a living proof of this event. Because that's the whole point, right? We're trying to get people to realize that this actually moved from generation. Okay, is everyone getting this, by the way? Okay. We don't have a yellow star. We have tzitzit or tefillin, right? We don't have this meal. We have Pesach, which has been celebrated every year ever since leaving Egypt. We have a sukkah, which we've done every year for the past 3,338 years or so. We don't have tattoo numbers. We have Brit Milah. Basically, one of the reasons, not the reason, one of the reasons for the mitzvot is given as a remembrance, Zecher, L'Yetziat Mitzrayim, we left Egypt, and that we're at Har Sinai, received the Torah. So you're right, the original people it happened to can be witnesses. The challenge is the next generation, how to get over to them. So you can create, or the Torah itself creates a whole scenario of actions that we do for many reasons. One of the reasons is that we become living witnesses. Can you see it? Is it taking shape in your head a little bit? So how do we know what happened? Because my parents did this, and my grandparents, and my great-grandparents, and this goes back. This isn't just something that just started like last year, 100 years ago, 500 years ago. This goes all the way back. We know the people who were there. We know the numbers. We know the tribes. We can link people today to those original people. They've been doing the same thing every single year, and the same date in every year, in the same location on many occasions. Which means the Jewish people, not just like a nation, we are living witnesses.
We celebrate holidays that represent what?
Everything that happens. Pesach represents coming out of Egypt. Shavuot, giving of the Torah. Sukkot is the tents that we lived in after leaving Egypt. For 40 years we lived in tents in the Midbar in the desert. All the mitzvot, many of them, not all, but many of them, link us back to what happened when we left Egypt. Even Shabbat. Shabbat, we read from a scroll. By the way, this society is not made up. They actually tried starting one. A bunch of Holocaust survivors in Israel tried very, very hard to create it. And once again, what was the idea? How do we turn, and these are the two key words over here, that which is history and legend. There's history. What's history? History is what happened. And then you have legend. And then you have legend, which may have happened. But I can't prove it one way or another. We are trying to put the whole claim of the Torah being given to the Jewish people by God into history. Legend is, maybe it did, maybe it didn't. What shifts it? Well, one of the main things is witnesses. But the witnesses aren't alive anymore, because, yeah, I get it. But they are a continuation of those original witnesses. Yeah. There is physical proof. Absolutely. That's added on. I'm giving you on it. You're absolutely right. There's a lot of physical proof. We have coins. We have cities. We have names. Right? We have archaeological facts. We have synagogues from thousands of years ago. We have a lot of stuff. Does that prove the Torah was given to the Jewish people? There's proofs of many archaic societies that lived a long time ago. There are many, many proofs of that they existed. But we're making a very unique claim. Every religion has a claim. Every religion. What is the claim? And it's always the same. Every single one. God spoke to this one person and said, you're the chosen one, and I'm God, and go reveal my truth. That's the claim. There's no exception. There is one exception in world history. Only one. And that's the Torah. We're the only people who even claim that God spoke to many, many, many people. And that the descendants of all those people came to the Jewish people. Not like another group came and joined us, but all their descendants. So you can't say, oh, I didn't hear about it because my family were in Greece at the time, all right, on vacation, in Miami. It happened to every single individual. That is the claim. Whether it's true or not, that's the claim. It's just how do you make up such a claim? Such a big claim. Did George Washington exist? How do you know? Anyone meet him? Did anyone meet anyone who met him? Did anyone meet anyone who met anyone? No, but we know he existed. But do we know, if I told you George Washington was missing 2 fingers from his hand? I don't know. So I have no witness on that. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I'm not sure. That's what it comes down to. How do you prove it? Yeah. Did he knock down that cherry tree? You know the story? Did he knock down the cherry tree? Maybe it's a legend. That's legend. In history, we need witnesses. In every court of law, you need witnesses. We are the only people in history, for whatever it's worth a lot, but whatever it's worth, who make that claim. It's just interesting. And the Torah makes a big deal out of it. So had it been given to one person, you can refute. That's the answer to the question, why did Avraham Avinu not receive the Torah? Because it'd be like, yeah, he just made it out. It's not enough. It would last maybe 1-2 generations, but it wouldn't last thousands of years. So the answer to why Avraham Avinu, or any individual, no matter how great they were, did not receive the Torah, it's not verifiable. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. Are we together over here?
Yeah.
Miss Panama, are you with us?
Yes.
Very good. I'm very pleased. Okay, as I said before, let's have a look. Let's have a look on page 14 at the Kusari. So once again, the Kusari was this account with the king of Khazar and the rabbi, and they had a debate. And this is one of the things he mentioned. He says, tell me why you're different from every other religion. Christianity, Islam, Scientology. I mean, you can list all the religions that you want, right? And he says, I'll tell you why. He says, the faith of Jewish people is based on eyewitness testimony and doesn't need anything else. That's the proof. You want to bring me archaeology? Gewaldig. You want to bring me philosophy, mysticism? Good. We're going to look at all this semester. We're going to look at all those things. But you have to know that the beginning is a rational idea. In his opening remarks to Pharaoh, Moses said that God sent me, right? God of the Hebrews sent me to you. The God of Avraham and Isaac and Yaakov. He used that description, although everyone knew about it, right? They understood it. He didn't say to Pharaoh, God sent me. He's like, I'm coming on the back of other people, right? We have story of traditions of others. It's not just me coming to you with my ideas. In other words, Judaism isn't based on one person's testimony. There have been incredible men and women, but it's never about one person. So the Torah was given to many people. Remember the whole Anochi 10 Commandments thing? Right? In the movie, they made about it, or the cartoon, which I didn't see, God speaking to Moses on a mountain. That's not what happened. If you read the Torah, which we're doing this semester, you'll see that the claim is that God spoke to a lot of people. Everyone was there. Everyone was involved in it, not one individual. Yeah?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So like when Moshe was talking next to the burning bush, like that.
That was what that did. Now, everything happened, that did happen, but we don't believe because of that. We don't believe because of any one person who says something. It's interesting, and it's good, and we can learn from it. That's how Moshe Rabbeinu was chosen to go into Israel, into Egypt, take the Jewish people out, take them to Israel, right? So that's all well and good. But I can't base an entire religion on that one event. It would never last. Or it would never be verifiable. There'll always be a seed of doubt. Let's use a word which is very misunderstood. Let's look at one Hebrew word today. So let's just sideline this for 1 second, okay? This Holocaust thing. I used to play a lot more devil's advocate in the Holocaust thing. People just get upset, so I stopped doing that. But just so we understand a little bit. There's a Hebrew word that all of you have heard, and everyone loves to say, and it's a very important word, and the word is emunah. Everyone's heard that word, right? Emunah, right? What does that word mean? So, you know what? We translate it as faith. And we say emunah, you mean faith. But I'm going to change the understanding. Yeah? Just a beautiful name. Yeah, emunah is a beautiful girl's name. Emunah means faith. I've had many emunahs in my class before over the years. It's a beautiful name. But the word doesn't actually mean faith. It doesn't mean faith. And I'll prove it to you. And I'll give you a better translation. I mean, we say faith. Have faith in God. Right? Emunah. Emunah actually doesn't mean that. Emunah means I know something based upon things that happened in the past. I'll give you a proof for this. Moshe Rabbeinu was at a battle against a nation called Amalek. And it says that his hands were emunah. His hands were emunah. He had to put his hands up in the air to show people they were strong, they were going to win. And it says his hands, yadayim, were emunah. You know what the word emunah really means? Faithful. Faithful. Faithful to that which I know. When you know something, are you faithful to it? I'll give you a modern example. Smoking. Do you know it's bad for you? Or do you believe it's bad for you?
No.
You know it's bad. Why? Have you done research yourself? Have you done... No! It's just, there have been a lot of smart people, smarter than us, who've done a lot of research, and they see what happens to lungs and emphysema, and how it's literally the worst thing you can do for your body. That's pretty much accepted for every doctor. Worst thing is smoking. And yet we know people are very, very smart. Among them I know doctors that smoke. How could that be? They're not being faithful to their knowledge. Emunah is faith based on, this is important, on the past. Based on knowledge of the past. So what's faith in the future called? There's another word for that. That's called bitachon. Bitachon. Bitachon is things that I don't know. Why? They haven't happened yet. Are you going to get married? Have faith in God. Have bitachon. Hasn't happened yet. I don't know. Emunah is based upon things that I know happened in the past, but I have to be faithful. I know that overeating is bad and eating, too much fried food is bad for me, but am I going to refrain from it? There's a difference between knowledge, which actually is another Hebrew word, which you should know at this point, which is dat, or das if you're Ashkenazi, and emunah. Das is what I know. Emunah is, am I faithful to what I know I shouldn't be eating all that bad food, but am I faithful to that knowledge? So it says that Moshe Rabbeinu's hands were faithful. They were yad emunah. Emunah. They were faithful. They stayed up in the air. But there's things I don't know, right? Things that haven't happened yet. For that you need to have faith. That's faith. That's not blind. That's bitachon. That's trust in God. Bitachon is, do you trust the future will be good? We have emunah that Mashiach is going to come. Okay, who Mashiach is, we'll discuss in another class. I wrote a whole book on it. But that's emunah, because I know it's true based upon things that have happened in the past. But I can't have emunah about something that hasn't happened yet, like me personally. Am I going to get a job? Am I going to graduate from YU? You know what I'm saying? That's about the future. That hasn't happened yet. So for that you have faith. That's already, but your bitachon is based upon stories from the past, which you get from emunah, which come from doubt, which come from the Torah. Are you following a little bit? And not just Torah, just stories, history, things that have happened in the past. Are you seeing the difference? So we are not a belief system. Other religions are belief systems. Because did Jesus, did Muhammad, did Guru Nanak, right? Did any of these people, maybe yes, maybe no, I believe. That's not Judaism. Judaism is, we know what happened in the past. We have witnesses, we have testimonies, we have artifacts, we have history of people doing it. But, am I faithful to that knowledge? That's tough. Right? I can know smoking is bad for me, but do I stop smoking? I can know that speaking Lashon Hara is not good, but do I stop speaking it? That's hard. Knowing it's easy. Right? Okay, questions, thoughts, comments? What did we discuss so far? Yeah.
Is contemplating something or being unsure about something, but really wanting to know what's gonna happen, sort of the future, is that not trusting God?
Great question. The question was, trying to know about the future, is that lacking trust in God? Such a great question, because the answer is very clear. The answer is actually in the Torah. It is forbidden to go to mediums, to go to psychics, go to Judaism. They used to do it in the olden days, and they still do it now, in order to inquire of them about the future. There's actually two schools of thought. One school, which is from the Rambam, said all these people are charlatans. No one can do it. There's no such power. They're fake. They're just in it to make money. They're fakers. They want it to make money, and they just say they know these things, and they can read off your personality. They cold read. You heard this, cold reading. They can figure out what you're all about, and they'll just make stuff up about the future. That's the Rambam. That's where you should go to. The Ramban and the Kabbalah say, no. There are real, and most people agree with this side, number two, there are real powers that allow you to look into the future. Maybe people were better in the past, but the people who do it now, and they do it, but they're forbidden to do it. They shouldn't do it. They shouldn't speak to the dead. Why? So the Torah says, Tamim tieh im Hashem Elokecha. You should put all your faith simply with God. Don't think about the future. Operate on what is now. The Torah is a guidebook to live now. Look to the past. You got to look to the past. You got to figure out what happened in the past, and that leads you to the future. There's a very famous story of a boy who's going traveling, and he gets lost, and there's a signpost with different directions. Yeah? But the signpost has been taken out of the ground and someone knocked it down. So he's like, what good is a signpost if I don't know which way to put it? Because I don't know which one of the signs is going to lead me in the right direction. So what does he do? He picks it up and he looks at where he came from and he points that part of the signpost to the past because he knows where he came from. And once he has the past one, because he knows where he came from, he has that sign leading to where he came from, all the other signs will lead in the right direction. That's why we study history. That's why we study Torah, says the Chafetz Chaim, because if you look to the past, you're going to figure out where to go in the future. That's what emunah. Emunah is built by having knowledge of the past, which comes in many ways. Talking to your family, learning Torah, hearing stories. There's lots of things that occur from the distant past to the recent past. But by knowing the past, it's not a history exercise. By knowing the past, I have the signpost put back. You see it? Signpost is back here, so I know which way to go in the future.
By having knowledge of the past, you build your emunah.
You build your emunah. Emunah is built on knowledge of the past. Yeah. And the future, what's going to happen? So, do you know you're going to graduate from YU?
Do I know I am?
Do you know? No, you don't know. But you believe you will. Very good. You believe you will. Bitachon is putting faith in Hashem that you will. It's not blind faith, blind belief. It's I put faith in God that I will. That's faith. That's faith. Because that's my faith. I put my faith in God, it's going to be okay. I'm going to find the right shidduch, the right job. I'm going to graduate. It hasn't happened yet. That's you personally. So personally, we're meant to have bitachon. But emunah is based upon knowledge from the past. We are the emunah people.
Doesn't bitachon play a lot into who you are on a day-to-day basis?
Absolutely, it does.
1,000,000%.
It's about you and how you're feeling today. Some people have great faith one day, we lose faith another day. Absolutely, yeah, it's a constant. There's you think Avraham didn't lose faith sometimes? You think Moshe Rabbeinu didn't? Everyone loses faith. I think Esther Malka being stuck for 17 years in the palace of Achashverosh, didn't that's it, we're all dead. I mean, come on. Well, just because you lack it a little bit doesn't mean you haven't got it, right? There's a lot of silence in class today, which means either you have no idea what I'm talking about or I've explained things too well.
You explain things too well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yes. Nice try. Thoughts, comments, heckles, arguments, shouts something at me? Yes, Miss Gaon.
We have a day, a holiday for everything. Why don't we have a holiday for the Holocaust?
So, it's a very good question. So actually in Israel, they did create a holiday, a remembrance day of the Holocaust. We have a national mourning day. It's called Tisha B'Av. And in Tisha B'Av, this was actually a big discussion when they created the state of Israel. And I know that Begin was very involved in this. There were many people who said, we don't create another holiday because you can't mess with the fabric of time. Time is a very precious thing. And to create a holiday is a big deal. Even when Esther and Mordechai tried to create Purim, the rabbis were against it. Had to wait a year later to figure out that this was actually the right time. When we talk about time, which we will in the next couple of classes, you'll see why. Messing with the fabric of time is a big deal. So what they said was, there is a national mourning day called Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of Av. And on that day, the Jewish people spoke Lashon Hara from the spies, or they heard Lashon Hara about the land of Israel. And that day has become the day of mourning for the Jewish people forever. So really the Holocaust, for the religious Jews, is in Tisha B'Av. And for the Jewish people in general to remember the Holocaust, we have Yom HaShoah, we have various things. They create it. But it doesn't have the power of Torah behind it. Yeah.
If Hashem revealed himself to 3 million people and that is our proof of, him existing,
Yeah.
is 1,000% true.
Good.
How come other people didn't come to realization?
Great question. You know the answer to that question? They did. And what they did was the following. Every other religion is based upon Judaism. Christianity has altered the New Testament. Islam, right, says Moses. There's a chapter called Moses, a chapter called David. They always come on the back of it. Then someone else comes forward and says, oh, by the way, that's now old and this is a new path. We can't stop that. The Torah tries to and says, if any prophet comes along and tries to change any words of the Torah, they're fake.
Hashem revealing himself to the world was so powerful. Like,
It was.
big deal.
It still is.
How could everyone? Yeah, 1000%.
Because they say that's true, and then they say it's true. Going to Christianity, God gave the Torah to the Jewish people.
Yeah.
They did, I'm telling you. Yeah.
So how come they're not Jewish?
Because they came along, well, they're not from the seed of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov.
How is
And
that possible?
well, they're not from Yaakov Avinu. The Torah was only given to the Jewish people and only to their descendants. If you want to convert in, you can. Other nations know it happened, and other religions, but they say, like, but then our prophet came from our nation and said, you don't need to do that anymore, now you have to do this instead. They never deny it happened. No new religion denies it happened. They'll always base their religion to some degree upon our claim of truth.
But if they know the Torah, then they know that what they're
That's fine. They
believing
don't.
is fake.
They don't, because according to them, this person came along, whether Jesus, and said that happened, and now we don't have to do that anymore. We have to do this.
So that defeats the whole purpose of 2 million people being at Har Sinai.
Yeah, it does.
Because that's just the one person.
Correct.
That called crazy.
Correct. That's the whole. You hit the nail there. That's the whole preposition of this discussion.
How do they? I don't know. I don't know how some people don't realize that.
That's it.
Doesn't make sense.
They'll realize one day.
No, they do. Their religions are based upon it. That's my point.
Religions are based upon it,
But
how
then,
are they
because a
believing
new
it?
person came forward and said, it's like me saying to you right now, that's true, we don't have to do that anymore, I'm the new one. All right, heavy class. Think about it. We'll see the Lord Hashem on Thursday.